Welcome to the 100th episode of Midnight Mayhem. Folks, we're at C4W Explosive Wrestling in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, the home of Midnight Mayhem, also the home of C4W. Tonight, we have an hour-long episode. We've got Steve Corino, Jesse Neal, Dylan Kage, a lot of fantastic faces that we haven't seen in a while, and some brand new faces. Folks, stay tuned. 1 hour, Midnight Mayhem, episode 100.
The training of these poor creatures to turn themselves into fighting machines is simply barbaric. 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 Let that word resound from hill to hill. Barbaric.
Welcome to episode 100 of Midnight Mayhem. You are seeing the Real Tree Mafia on your left taking on the Bravado Brothers. The Real Tree Mafia consisting of Big Country and, of course, Playa. And then the Bravado Brothers, Keith, that would be Lance. And in the ring right now, we have got Harlem Bravado. Those two men have traveled all around the world, and, you know, they had a spot on the ROH roster for a little bit.
So they are a big deal.
Folks, and speaking of a big deal, this episode is a big deal. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Midnight Mayhem. Harlem Bravado in the ring, ready to get this match underway. Playa in the ring to get this match underway. Folks, you are seeing an hour-long episode of Midnight Mayhem. I hope you have your DVRs set for stun or fun or whatever you want to have. 1 hour long, these two men tying up. Strong tie-up by Playa, pushing Harlem to the turnbuckle.
Both these teams great in the ring. We haven't seen the Bravado Brothers before, but we've definitely seen half of Real Tree Mafia.
That's right, we have seen Big Country. He's got a big fan base out of Ainer, South Carolina. Shout out to Jody Jen Red and the Ainer High School football team. We love when we've got good fans. And you know, Midnight Mayhem's got some of the best fans. Harlem Bravado with that side headlock takedown. Folks, if you're liking what you're seeing, 100 episodes online. Facebook.com/Midnight Mayhem CW21. Also, YouTube.com/RetroKiddo42. Subscribe, and you can see Lance walking outside the ring like that. Look at Playa almost pinning Harlem Bravado right there. What kind of upset would that be? This is for the C4W Tag Team Championship.
And to my knowledge, there has never been a C4W Tag Team Championship before. This is history in the making, much like your 100th episode tonight on Midnight Mayhem.
Well, we have got two big matchups for titles, and then just a crazy old hardcore match in between, sandwiched in between. Our main event tonight, Steve Corino taking on the Warhawk, Dylan Kage. I'm excited about that. Steve Corino, a very, very fun to watch wrestler in the ring, a master of the mic.
A master of the mic, and these two teams here are masters of the ring. These two are playing chess with each other. They're getting the crowd involved, trying to get some energy flowing. They're trying to feel each other out, trying to figure out what's going to work best on their opponent.
Now, earlier on, I had to cut this out for time. Harlem Bravado, talking to the audience, came out in a crown from the one, the only Medieval Times, wearing the Blue Knights helmet. He was saying that this match is dedicated to the Blue Knight. If he wins it, when they win it, he is going to dedicate this match to that man, the Blue Knight.
That's right. They said while he was at Medieval Times, the Blue Knight looked him and his brother right in the eye, and he said, "This one's for you."
This one's for you. This is for all you fans out there, Midnight Mayhem fans. Look at that side headlock takeover, and it looks like Harlem. Oh, look at Playa using some wrestling skills right there. Head scissors, trying to stop the momentum of Harlem. Trying to roll him over. Who's getting pinned there? Playa in the pinning position. Back to the side headlock. Harlem Bravado. Folks, I am so excited. We have got so much going on tonight. I've got a special message from our executive producer, Terrence Dollard, who gave us our his top 5 favorite moments of Midnight Mayhem. That comes on right after this matchup, and we get to see what some of the insiders on this show get to think about Midnight Mayhem. Keith, what is your favorite match you've ever called on this show? And this matchup, an arm drag by Playa and a big back elbow to capitalize that. Look at that. Look at Playa getting some ups. Playa doing that drop kick right there, going for the cover, hooking the leg. Out at 1. Harlem knows he's a well-versed ring technician. He knows that if he kicks out at 1, that may also, not only is it preventing a loss on his part, but it also could get in the head of the other team. You're kicking out at 1, all that effort that you've put into that pin attempt, all that hammering down on that opponent. If you kick out at 1, what does that mean for your psyche?
That just, not only are you doing physical damage to the head, but also some mental damage to the head. You're causing just tons of just like, I thought I've used my best move so far, and he kicked out at 1.
Speaking of big moves, look at these atomic drops. A pair of atomic drops going to the brothers right there. The brothers Bravado. Harlem being picked up right now and put back down on the mat with power from Big Country Blake Barnes.
I'm sure if the Bravado Brothers make it out of this one and they get to talk to the Blue Knight, they're going to leave that little bit out of there.
Big Country, I'm not sure if he's good. You hear that dun 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 in the background. This man repping Ainer hard, and you know, when you've got a town like that, they grow them tough there. They grow them country tough, Big Country tough.
Big and tough, the Ainer way, and we got Big Country. Nope. That's Player right there. Still in the ring, still taking lumps for the Real Tree Mafia.
Playa outside the ring. Lance able to use the distraction. And Playa hammering some forearm shivers to the face of Lance. Going straight for him. And this is a great tactic by these men. Look at that maneuver by Harlem. You would think that these two are brothers. Oh, wait, they are. They know what the other one's doing. You've got a twin, Keith. Do you have that creepy twin shining thing going on?
We definitely do. We have some ESP going on. You can always kind of tell what's going on in the mind of my sibling.
That's kind of creepy, Keith. I always knew that you were a creeper. Look at Harlem just kicking Big Country Blake Barnes outside the ring. And then Lance just throwing Playa back into the ring. Using that distraction by Slow Boy Steven, the referee. He's slow. You know, he's not going to be able to see everything going on in the ring, and maybe the Bravado Brothers are going to use that to an advantage in this matchup, knowing that Slow Boy kind of slow.
Not so much the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree, but we got to give a shout out to all the refs that we've had over the years. It's hard to be a ref in the ring.
Speaking of another misstep by Slow Boy Steven, did you see that? The brothers able to use that dirty maneuver. The ref's back was turned, and they clapped their hands, and then the other one came in, making Slow Boy Steven think that the other man was tagged, but in all actuality, was not tagged in the ring. That's a very smart maneuver, although it is against the rules in professional wrestling. It is a smart maneuver by the Bravado Brothers to utilize these quick tags, even if they're not that legal.
Yeah, and you got to be careful because you're going to build up some rage in the other team. Oh, excellent punch to the face there on our good pal, Big Country.
Tagging and another quick tag. And look, he's got the crown of the Blue Knight right now. Putting on this coat of arms on top of his head, putting insult to injury. He's putting away this matchup already, and we've only been in for 9 minutes. Look at Playa able to get out from that elbow drop from Sir Harlem.
These are they may be big boys, but when they need to, they can be quick.
Using the big boot of Harlem. Tagging in Lance. Lance coming in. We're seeing a lot of Lance. Lance a lot in this matchup. That's a pun having to do with the King Arthur mythology. I don't know if you know anything about that, Keith, but as an English major, I had to read that.
I'm going to try to feed off of you right now. We've got instead of the round table, we have more of a square table for them to do battle on. I'm sorry, that was horrible.
That was awful, Keith. Lance, thankfully we've got this professional wrestling in the middle of the ring, able to take away from your terrible, terrible jokes, Keith.
I will never, ever, ever live that one down. I apologize to not only you, Aaron, but to the fans out there. I have disgraced myself in my family.
Lance using his knee right there, stopping the momentum of player. Using that knee once again to the midsection, the solar plexus. Player feeling the pain right there. Harlem kind of getting the crowd against him almost. They're feeding off these jeers and boos from the audience. A nice Irish whip. Trying to go once again for that knee. And player able to turn around on that and go for a pin attempt. And Lance, a flurry of offense to both Big Country and player.
We haven't really told you guys how important this match is. This is for the first time ever the Tag Team Championship. And you know, if you're not first getting the Tag Team Championship, you're just last.
Thanks, Ricky Bobby. And it looks like Harlem in the middle of the ring. What's Harlem doing? He's messing with his trunks, pulling out the string from his trunks. Now, I know you gotta, and then you choke. You try to choke out player. That is exactly a very smart maneuver. But then again, it is a dirty, dirty tackle.
I don't know many things about wrestling, but I do know that that is cheating. But in the eyes of the ref, if you're not caught, it's not cheating.
That's correct, Keith. That is correct, intern Keith. Coming up next on Midnight Mayhem, we've got a great matchup between Timber, the Insane Lumberjack, and Steven Hunter. That's going to be a brawl, if you have ever seen one. And then for our main event tonight, on this special 1-hour episode, we have got Steve Corino. That's Steve Corino, the king of old school, Mr. Wrestling 3, former ECW World's Heavyweight Champion, former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. He's going to be taking on the Warhawk, Dylan Kage.
These are some big matches. I see you have spared no expense tonight on the 100th episode of Midnight Mayhem.
Well, I mean, I promised people at C4W that we were going to cover them and cover them well tonight. And the one thing I regret, we have an extra matchup between Jesse Neal that we are going to be watching next week on the 101 episode of Midnight Mayhem.
And I just can't stress enough how important this episode is. This is a milestone, the big 100, some triple digits, some possibility of syndication now that you have 100 episodes.
Keith, we're already syndicated.
We have now even more reasons to back to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Keith. And then, like I said, Jesse Neal against Mason Miles next week on Midnight Mayhem. You don't want to miss it. Both of those stars, fantastic workers in the ring. Mason Miles, pretty interesting. This kid's on the up and up in the world of professional wrestling. Some eyes looking to see how he will fare against Jesse Neal. And look at Blake Barnes coming into the middle of the ring with a flurry of offense. That momentum's going, and when inertia sets in, an object in motion stays in motion, Keith, especially if that motion, that object that is in motion is as large and, quote, in charge as Big Country.
Thank you. We always have such good information for you on Midnight Mayhem. I can't stress enough how you learn things, how we cover all sorts of pop culture and stuff, and this is going to be a big move right here.
Look at that splash from Big Country. Big Country just putting all of the southern states right there on lock as he splashes into them right there. 1, 2, look at that, kicking out at 2. Blake not so happy with the count of Slow Boy Steve.
I'm not sure if he was even conscious during that kick out. I think that was just instinct. He heard it too and he moved. His subconscious made that move because he got hit really hard in that last hit.
Big Country picking him up on his shoulders. Lance waiting for something to happen in this matchup. And now, you know, Blake Barnes and Player, the Real Tree Mafia, hailing from South Carolina. The Bravado Brothers, hailing from North Carolina. And as he puts on these brass knuckles, would you say that this is the war of northern aggression right now?
I would say that's the perfect way to describe this. And there may be some little bit of cheating, but all is fair in love and war.
North and South, baby. That's what's going on right now. Harlem shocked that Blake was able to kick out of being punched in the face by a pair of brass knucks. Now that, my friend, is a tough SOB.
Definitely. And now we have both of the brothers, the Bravado Brothers, out to deliver this move, and it just doesn't get off the ground.
Player pulling him out. Now, who is this man walking up the steps right now? That looks like Jay Bellamy. Jay Biggs, excuse me, talking to the referee, using the referee. Now, why would you distract the referee in a matchup like this? Jay Biggs, a wrestler we've seen wrestle in Dirty South Championship Wrestling. And speaking of Dirty South Championship Wrestling, that is the one, the only Muscle Shoals. We have seen that man on Midnight Mayhem a hell of a lot of times, and that is the dirtiest redneck I have ever seen in my life.
This has gone from extreme to out of control really fast.
Blake Barnes for the cover. 1, 2, and Harlem kicking out at 2. I thought for sure, after being hit in the face by Muscle Shoals, that this match was going to be over. Big Country getting serious, taking down the shoulder straps right there, picking up Harlem. What is he going to do now? Slamming him down with that cutter right there. And what's he going to do? Hook in the leg. 1, 2, 3. Folks, you have brand new champions, the first C4W Tag Team Champions. A member of the AIWF, whatever you call it. Sorry, I'm getting choked up. This is a very big moment.
100 episodes, Real Tree Mafia bringing home the gold, or in this case, 2 very large belts. Tag team champions, now recognizable, and now they've got a little bit of bling to put around their waists.
I don't know if those belts are going to be able to fit around those waists. Folks, coming up next, Timber, the Insane Lumberjack, takes on Stephen Hunter. And then after that, Steve Corino and Dylan Kage. Are you excited, Keith?
I could not be more excited.
Stay tuned, folks.
It's a simple task. What's taking so long?
Sir, I'm going through these cue cards, and I just can't find the letter Q.
Why, hello, everyone. I'm executive producer Terrence Dollard. I'd like to thank you for watching Midnight Mayhem's 100th episode spectacular. Hey, I need you to take these files to webmaster Wallace Rogers Stat, and while you're at it, get me Harold Britt on the phone. We need another episode of Harold's 2 Cents.
What?
Now, we couldn't have gotten to 100 episodes without having great wrestlers, great rivalries, and great matches. And of course, without you watching at home. So if you bear with me, I'd like to share with you my top 5 Midnight Mayhem moments over our first 100 episodes. I think you'll agree that I've got spectacular taste. So without any further ado, here are my top 5 Midnight Mayhem moments. Now, I know I promised you my top 5 moments, but this is number 6, John Malice versus Kimchi from our 72nd episode. I honestly thought the match was going to last a little bit longer. Sometimes the big man does win. Oh well. But let me tell you what my number 5 moment is. It's when we had Zane Riley, the party manimal, taking on Amber O'Neal in a cross-gender 3-way tag team. And look at this, he's going to take the full brunt of her toxic twerk, and I can't tell if he's in heaven or if he is in heck. My number 4 moment, the family feud of Dawson versus Dawson. Once one of the greatest tag team combos in all of Midnight Mayhem, they decided that it was time to go their separate ways, and they left it all in the ring in our 56th episode, and it was a shame to see one Dawson win and one Dawson lose. My number 3 moment is when we had the legendary Jeff Hardy on our 20th show. He brought the star power, he brought the name, and he brought the W to Midnight Mayhem. My number 2 moment is when we had Charlie Dreamer taking on Luke Gallows. Now, they say Carolina Barbecue is the best in the world. I agree. That's why it was so sad to see Luke Gallows dump a ton of that barbecue onto Charlie Dreamer's head. Just a darn shame. My number 1 moment has to be when Casey Scott Dawson McKnight took on TNA star Gunner in one of our greatest matches, and this showed to me, to the world, that Midnight Mayhem's roster of stars can take on anyone in the world. If you want to check out any of our matches, go to youtube.com/RetroKiddo42. You'll find our entire archive of 100 episodes is there for you to watch anytime you want to. And you know, keep viewing because we're just getting started and we're looking forward to another 100. Thanks for watching.
It's Dylan. We've seen you take on one of the toughest men in the Mid-Atlantic, Zane Dawson. Tonight, you're taking on one of the men who has traveled across the world. He's honed his craft everywhere, and this man used to be an ECW World Heavyweight Champion. How have you prepared yourself mentally to take on Steve Corino?
Well, let's get one thing straight. Midnight Mayhem, make some noise! Because tonight, a night of miracles. Steve Corino, Dylan Kage, one-on-one. Yes, he is Mr. Wrestling number 3. Yes, he is the king of old school. but I am the king of C4W. Myrtle Beach, this is my place. This is my town. And if you think for 1 second that I'm gonna lay down for anyone, then he's got another thing coming. Tonight, I'm here to prove not a legacy. I'm not here to talk about race. I'm talking about proving once and for all who's the best. You can only get better. You can only talk about being the best by beating the best. And yes, you're right, ECW World's Heavyweight Champion, NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, one of the last great traveling champions, and Steve Corino. What have I done? I've prepared, I've trained, I've got it right. And tonight, beyond a shadow of a doubt, we're gonna see why I am the best kept secret in professional wrestling.
Welcome back to Midnight Mayhem. You're looking at Timber. He is a crazy lumberjack, and he's taking on Stephen Hunter. Folks, this matchup, I guarantee you, is not going to be a very technical professional wrestling match. I'm thinking this is going to get a little violent kind of quick.
It's a no holds bar match, or is it a Extreme Rules match?
It's a little bit of both. I think they're one and the same, and if you're talking rules of professional wrestling. But look at this, just hammering down blows with those knife-edge chops. Maybe Timber is going to cut down the big tree of Stephen Hunter real quick.
Speaking of hammering blows and knife-edge chops, both hammers and knives allowed in this match. Speaking of which, there's a hammer right there.
Folks, did you see Barbie right there? That would be the barbed wire baseball bat. Hunter dumped out of the ring, and Hunter hitting his head against the mat right there, and Timber taking advantage of it right now. Now, Timber is brought to you by Joey Nuggs. That's that man you're seeing in the Cold Cash D-like garb outside the ring. Folks, I'm not sure that Timber is going to be able to, not sure that Stephen Hunter is going to be able to overcome these odds of 2-1.
These are some large dudes, too. Don't let the unable to compare get you off, because they are large dudes. Just look at our cameramen in comparison. These are huge men.
Stephen Hunter being dragged around the ring, slamming his head against the the posts outside, and it looks like Timber's going straight to his bag of tricks, grabbing a, is that crutches? It looks like Timber may be helping this man walk out of the ring, and no, he is not.
The exact opposite. He is making him more crippled, is I believe what's going. Ooh, and a sharp hit to the stomach.
Is that crippler? Is that how you pronounce that? Stephen Hunter being Irish whipped, reversing it. Timber being cut down right there, hitting his head against that steel post. And Hunter going to that bag of tricks right now, looking like he's going for a no, that is a pull cue, folks. Let's see, what is he going to do right here with this pull cue? He's taking it back, and I think that's called a scratch. Is that considered a scratch? Is he allowed to put the cue ball anywhere now?
I'm not really keen to the rules of pool. I just know that hurt a whole lot.
Stephen Hunter raining down blows to the face of Timber, chopping him down, and it looks like Joey Nuggs kind of watching from the background, kind of nervous that Timber right there is not. And of course, I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. You just got to pick up the chair and use it as a weapon, you know. And then Hunter with the crutches right there. People are going to have to be using these crutches after this matchup. You know, Medicare is probably paying for these crutches, Obamacare even. And folks, we're just all willy-nilly throwing them around the ring. What's up with that, Keith?
I don't know. I just know they cannot use those crutches. Those are bent beyond comprehension.
Where is Timber going? Timber looking under the ring right now, perhaps looking for. What is this? He's pulling out. Is that a piece of sheetrock? Is he gonna repair this arena right now?
Some home improvement here on Midnight Mayhem.
Timber the Toolman Taylor right here. Stephen Hunter looking under the ring, perhaps looking for his own weapon. Maybe going for that chair. No, looks like something else. Timber setting this up outside the ring.
Maybe we're gonna cut it to the proper size. Oh, we got a ladder now. Some home improvements. Maybe change out some of the light bulbs that seem to be out in this complex.
Apparently, we have turned from a wrestling show to a home improvement show. Bob Vila, our guest star next week on episode 101. He's got the ladder right now. Stephen Hunter picking it up, slamming it down into the sternum of Timber. and then just, you know, getting rid of it, putting it in the ring. You know, though, did you notice Stephen Hunter did not use the top rung, because that's not safe. You don't climb all the way up to the top step. You gotta keep it safe here on Midnight Mayhem.
Safety first is, we iterate this, I think, every week. Safety first here on Extreme Rules on Midnight Mayhem.
Timber getting a punch to the face by Hunter. Hunter raining down right hands. Timber just nailed Hunter with that ladder, if that's what you call it. It looks like Hunter going to have to gather his wits about him. Perhaps he's thinking of dreams right now. He's concussed.
Stephen Hunter looked a little hungry, so Timber force-fed him, and now, again, some ladder.
Baby wants to eat. Baby needs food. Baby needs sustenance. Covering. Only a 2 count. That Hunter, don't take anything away from him. He's still a tough SOB, able to kick out of that at 2 after tasting the steel ladder.
This match is making me a little anxious, a little nervous. We have things set up all over the place. We have the sheetrock on the outside, and now we have the ladder in the corner. It's a little anxiety-causing.
So you're saying that we have an obstacle course almost. So what you're saying is we've gone from a wrestling show, and you see that right there? That's why we can't have nice things, Keith. That is why we cannot have nice things. You ruin the ladder. You're looking at it like this. We've gone from a wrestling show to a home improvement show. Now we're going to a freaking episode of Double Dare. We've got an obstacle course. Timber's being taken out on the ladder. Hunter is raining down more blows to the face of Timber. Hunter off the ropes. And look at that beautiful forearm shiver. I don't know if anything's beautiful about that, man. A nice cutter from Hunter. And what's Hunter doing now? Hunter's thinking about going up top with that ladder in his hands.
Chair. That is a metal chair.
Sorry. I'm just so confused, befuddled as to what's going on here in this ring.
There are a lot of things in that ring, so I can understand some minor confusion. We have a broken ladder. That is no longer usable. We cannot repair any light bulbs anymore. We have a chair, and I think there's still that sheetrock on the outside of the ring.
Timber showing that he is as tough as Paul Bunyan, kicking out at 2. And it looks like Hunter's just going for the trash can now. We've used the pool cue. We're coming full circle on this episode. We know that any weapon is available to these people. And it looks like Hunter's going to be using a trash can right now. But it doesn't look like Timber's having any of that. Perhaps a little bit of a sleeper hold right here. Hunter grabbing for that trash can. Joey Nuggs watching outside, watching his protege get attacked viciously by Hunter.
One of my favorite parts about an Extreme Rules match is when they have the big bag of tricks, is when they use the big bag of tricks against their opponents.
Hunter able to escape. That's the quickest he's moved in a while in this matchup. A big body drop on that, and you look, Hunter brings the trash can in, looking to use it as a weapon, but then it is used as a weapon on him. That's irony. That's what we call irony. And if you want to look up the literary term and all that stuff, you can go ahead. I was an English major at one point in my life.
It's good that we have this little sense of class using this big vocabulary. We have just a wide variety of things we can offer you on this 100th episode of Midnight Mayhem.
Folks, if you like what you're seeing, go to facebook.com/Midnight Mayhem CW21. You can find all of our old episodes, and you can see more trash cans being thrown to the heads of crazy lumberjacks. That's what you get to see on Midnight Mayhem every week. Week after week, we have got all sorts of crazy stuff going on.
And I believe you can watch those episodes on your YouTube channel.
That's right, youtube.com/RetroKiddo42. I made that YouTube name back when I was still in college, apparently, and I didn't know that Midnight Mayhem was going to go 100 episodes. I'm sorry, folks.
That's right, 100 episodes, and we seem to have... Oh!
Joey Nuggs trying to use his cane as a weapon. Stephen Hunter grabbing that cane and then using it on Joey Nuggs as a weapon. Money to burn. You know what else burns? Getting hit in the back with a walking cane.
A wooden cane. We have used walking canes and crutches for their unintentional purpose tonight at Midnight Mayhem. They're going to have a tough time getting out of the ring.
Timber getting back to his feet like the big red oak he is. Hunter Spine buster going through the sheetrock. Both men down, and the fans are clapping. This is like a gladiatorial match right here. People are just entertained by the violence put before them. Timber grabbing Hunter, trying to put him back inside the ring, because you know, apparently in an Extreme Rules match, you can only get pinned inside the ring, but you can just fight outside the ring all you want. Hook in the leg. Kicking out at 2.
Just a 2 count there. Apparently there is some order to an Extreme Rules match. You got to remember that.
Timber getting back to his feet, and it looks like he's checking out Joey Nuggs. Joey Nuggs down right now after being attacked viciously by that cane, and it looks like the barbed wire baseball bat coming into play. And Hunter going for the cover, and that is all she wrote, folks. Thank you for watching this matchup. Stay tuned. Our main event is next. Standing beside me, the king of old school, former ECW World's Heavyweight Champion, former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, Steve Corino. I'd even kind of say an inspiration for myself. I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to go as dirty and as dark as this man right here. Tonight he's taking on Dylan Kage. What do you have in store for Dylan?
Now, Dylan Kage, not a moron. I do my homework. I'm not the king of old school for nothing. Heard what you had to say, and you tell a very, very good story. But unfortunately, young man, your story is fiction. Let me tell you some truth. I am Steve Corino, and I am wrestling's most evil person. Now, you may think that's bad. You may think that's bad, and everybody watching may think that's bad. And it is. How dare me tell you and tell everybody that I am an evil person? But sometimes we are what we are, and we need to embrace it. Now, Myrtle Beach. Oh, I see your beaches. I see your women. I see your stores. Glorious, right? I'm from Emerald Isle, North Carolina. Now, if there was really a God, he would be from Emerald Isle, North Carolina, but he sent me instead. The king of old school, the savior of professional wrestling. And now I'm going to spread my word. I'm going to spread my word to you dirty people here in Myrtle Beach. And here's some more truth. Dylan Kage, you cannot defeat Steve Corino. You cannot defeat someone that cannot be killed. You cannot defeat someone that will do whatever it takes to win a professional wrestling match. What does winning mean to me? Everything. Dylan Kage, can you find that darkness inside your heart? Can you find that darkness inside your soul to do what I will do to win a professional wrestling match? I don't think you can. Bring me everything that you have. Bring me all the passion that you brought in your television interview. I'd like that. But no, at the end, you know, at the end, Steve Corino will raise his arm, and I will show all you dirty people here in Myrtle Beach that I am the king. I am the man. I am your role model. Dylan Kage, in just a short time, you're going to learn the true meaning of evil.
Obviously, this lady is a moron. Because let's face it, no stinking, smelly yellow Indian has ever done anything good in this world. If it wasn't for their lack of skills, none of you people would be here today, so you should thank them for their incompetence. If that hit a nerve, that means you know a little history. Young lady, history is something you'll learn in 3rd grade if you make it that far.
Well, you heard it here first. Steve Corino, not a fan of the Native Americans. and a man that represents the Native American nation, Dylan Kage, Warhawk Dylan Kage. I'm kind of distraught by some of the words that Steve Corino just used. He called a girl a moron. He called a boy a little girl. He did not care about gender roles in this matchup already, and he doesn't care about Dylan. He thinks Dylan is going to be a pushover in this matchup.
Well, Steve Corino has seen some things. He's an experienced wrestler. If I think back to one of my favorite matches of all time, he was in a hardcore match with a man who I am not worthy enough to say his name.
You forgot what his name was. It's a Texas Bull Rope match, and it was Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, Keith. Let me tell you something, if you will, that you just completely messed up the notes that I gave you before this match.
It was smudged on my hand. I wrote it in Sharpie, and my hands are sweating because Steve Corino is on our show. I love this man. He is wrestling to me.
Steve Corino and Dylan Kage hooking up. They are going. And look at Corino already jockeying for position. And he is not only, see, this man is so experienced in the ring. Half of his mind is on the fans, and half of his mind is on the fans. Wait, did I just say the fans and the fans? I mean the fans and the match in the ring.
And he is still using more brain power than most of us together. This is a big match. This is a big deal. This is for the belt.
This is for the No Limit title right now in C4W, a vacant title. So both of these men are trying to get that belt around their waist. Steve Corino, a man that's had the ECW World Heavyweight Championship before, and also the NWA World Heavyweight Champion before. This man very experienced in the world of professional wrestling. Dylan Kage tried to get into the head of Steve Corino. Steve Corino using some smart tactics from a ring veteran, a salty veteran like Steve Corino. He knows his way around the ring.
And Dylan Kage, no stranger to the ring either. He's been around quite some time. He's a local legend here.
He really is a local legend, Keith. He has been all around the world. He has wrestled for all sorts of promotions. And Dylan Kage, we've seen him on Midnight Mayhem. He's a tough son of a gun when it comes down to it. He's had some issues with Zane Dawson as of late, one of the biggest bullies on Midnight Mayhem. A man that you are scared poopless of, Keith.
I'm glad you said that because I was going to use some vulgar words, but yes, that is exactly how I describe it. That man haunts my nightmares and haunts my nightmares almost on a daily basis.
Dylan Kage getting frustrated with the calling of this match by Steven Slowboy. Steve Corino, very smart. He knows that if he touches the rope or if he goes to the turnbuckle, a hold or a move is going to have to be broken up. Steve Corino knows that if he cowers in the corner like he just did, that Steven is going to have to break up the momentum that Dylan Kage is already trying to build up.
But you know what? If he wins this way, a title is a title, and he would get the belt, even if it's not an honorable way.
Look at, and then he uses a dirty tactic. Steve Corino grabbing the hair of Dylan Kage and then trying to go for the eyeballs. Look at that. He had to the count of 5, but he knew that he could get one more cheap shot in on Dylan Kage.
I'm just so happy to finally see these two come together, and there was the war cry, the almost fabled war cry of our own Dylan Kage.
Steve Corino not having any of that. Steve Corino taking a powder outside the ring. The fans trying to get into the head, pushing Steve Corino. Steve Corino not having any of that. He's not happy when the fans touch him. Those dirty Myrtle Beach residents, apparently, in the eyes of Steve Corino.
Steve Corino just not making very many friends here tonight on the 100th. I say that again, 100th episode of Midnight Mayhem.
Folks, this matchup is a lot of fun already. If you want to see more matchups by some of these stars, go to our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/MidnightMayhemCW21. Also, youtube.com/RetroKiddo42. That's got all of our archives, all of the things and some extra things that we have filmed over the past few years. These men resetting in the middle of the ring. Strong collar elbow tie-up. Corino going straight for the left arm of Dylan Kage. Standing wrist lock on Dylan Kage. Dylan Kage able to roll out of it, using some of that agility. Dylan Kage able to reverse it onto the left arm of Steve Corino.
I almost say it every single match, but for this time, oh, can't pull that hair. That's a foul move. But I say every match it's between two titans, and it couldn't be more true than tonight with Steve Corino and Dylan Kage.
Corino not very aggressive right now. He looks like he is getting a lot of pain in that left shoulder, that AC joint of his left arm. The shoulder can't take a lot of pain, Keith. I'm telling you, it is a you've got a rotator cuff there, you've got an AC joint, you have got all sorts of ligaments there. And if he were to have his shoulders separated in the middle of that ring, I don't know if he'd be able to continue. I know the man is a hardcore legend, an old school king. I don't know if he'd be able to take the pain of a separated shoulder. And look at the pain and agony in the eyes of Steve Corino right now.
That's right. I think he's almost all intact. He is going through some serious pain. Several different moves working all the different ins and outs of his shoulder. If his shoulder hasn't been separated by now, it's only hanging on by a string.
Steve Corino still with the wherewithal to jaw at Dylan Kage as he's trying to get out of this maneuver. Look at this. He's trying to do something right now, trying to maybe get back to his feet, reverse the pressure, but it looks like Dylan Kage all about keeping that hold right now. Now, if Steve Corino grabs the ropes, now he's going to the turnbuckle, a very smart maneuver. He knows that there's going to be a rope break after 5. He's got to let go. He's letting go. And then Corino, the exclamation point to that end of that sentence right there, taking his momentum and using it against him by getting that elbow to the midsection of Dylan Kage. And look at that, Corino able to slide out of the ring. Folks, we're going to have the conclusion of this matchup when we come back to episode 100 of Midnight Mayhem. Welcome back to Midnight Mayhem. Steve Corino still having words with those great Midnight Mayhem fans outside the ring. Corino not running back into the ring. He's taking his time, kind of gathering what little bit of wits he apparently has about him, and Dylan Kage decides to take the fight outside.
Well, they're definitely not working towards the People's Choice Award, but these are some of the best fans you could have. They're going for the belt tonight on Midnight Mayhem.
Going for that new No Limits title, and Steve Corino using the dreaded thumb to the eye. Now look at that. He's just mashing the eyeball of Dylan Kage. Dylan Kage not being able to see. Oh my God, did you just hear that, Keith? The impact of that elbow to the face of Dylan Kage, and now Steve Corino goes over to the #1 Dylan Kage fan, and he's just adding salt to the wound by doing all these maneuvers right in front of her.
Just rubbing a little bit of lemon juice in that open wound. But you know what? She's a diehard fan. She's not going to give up on Dylan Kage.
Dylan Kage with a flurry of right hands to the face of Steve Corino. Irish whipping Corino. Kage getting blocked by the right boot of Steve Corino. Steve Corino, he's smarter than that, Dylan. You gotta work him a little bit more than that. You gotta be a little bit more crafty than what you're trying out right now. This man has wrestled all sorts of wrestlers. He's wrestled, you said it early. You said this man wrestled Dusty Rhodes.
The legend in I think it's an Irish bullwhip.
Keith, shut up.
It's smudged on my hand. It is smudged.
Texas bull rope match. This man has had some legendary matches with Jerry Lynn. This man has been all over the world. And I'll tell you, you need to show this man a little bit more respect next time you call one of his matches.
I had to work camera when you were interviewing him earlier, and I had everything in my power not to shake in fury of the power that he exudes, Corino that is, from his eyes and his mannerisms.
Going for the cover right there. Kind of a cocky cover by Steve Corino, not hooking the leg, not adding that added pressure. He's getting into it with the fans. Maybe this is going to come into factor, but I know that if you're distracted in the ring, how are you going to be able to give your full awareness to this matchup? If you want that belt around your waist, Steve, you're going to have to let that slide off your back like a drop of water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. This is definitely a physical and psychological battle, so you got to be prepared for just about anything. And I think Corino is prepared for both, but he was not prepared for these Myrtle Beach fans.
Corino getting some elbows to the midsection. Dylan Kage being pulled down by his hair. Steve Corino knows that maybe that's illegal, but you know what? He's got that hair hanging all down willy-nilly like that. I'm going to have to, what else am I going to use? It's a handle at this point.
That's right. If you present your enemy with a target, they're going to take it.
Corino hammering down that left hand. Yelling at the fans once again. You've got a momentum going, Steve. You need to finish this momentum with a series of moves, a combination, if you will. And it looks like, see, Dylan Kage knows what the deal is. With a flurry of right hands, a combination of right hands. Dylan Kage and being caught by the abdominal stretch.
This is just impressive to see these two legends go one against the other in this battle.
Steve Corino yanking at all those abdominal muscles of Dylan Kage. Steve Corino pulling his hand back. Steve, what do you do? No! God! If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, Keith. When the oil is low in a professional wrestling match, you do not need to check the oil in the matchup. Steve Corino, you are a bastard for doing this. Steve Corino, you are disgusting. Steve Corino going back to the oil check.
We have had many things on the show, and now I can say with confidence, we've shown it all here on Midnight Mayhem.
I am flabbergasted and appalled. And folks, if this offends you, I apologize. We weren't expecting Steve Corino to go to this dark place that he just went to with this. And Steve Corino still in this abdominal stretch. I hope to God he doesn't try for it again. And I am wrong. He tried for it again, but this time, Steven Slowboy catching him. Dylan Kage able to do a hip toss right there. Maybe Dylan Kage, enraged by the previous oil check, trying to go for it again. Steve Corino getting blocked. Dylan Kage, the hand is going back to Steve Corino.
What would you even call this move? Except for legendary. What's going on?
Oh my God. Folks, he didn't even get to use a hand sanitizer in between those. That man just tasted defeat right there, I guess. I guess I'm not sure if we can say what just happened here tonight. Look at Dylan Kage. Now Dylan Kage with the rage, and he's just very angry, able to get Corino off his feet.
That is some well-paced rage there against the foul mouth, Steve Corino.
Very, very foul mouth. I think he has a case of halitosis right now. I think he needs a mint after what just happened.
We have used many words. That is the first time halitosis has been used tonight on Midnight Mayhem. A groundbreaking 100 episodes, I am proud to say, tonight on Midnight Mayhem.
Speaking of halitosis, Keith, you're going to need to get that checked out before we make any more calls for the rest of the evening. You're going to need to find that secret stash of ice breath that Cecil Chandler keeps in his office.
It's cinnamon flavored, I believe.
I think he gets most of it. He doesn't even spray it in his mouth. He sprays it in and around like his mouth area. Steve Corino offering that hand.
Which hand is he offering?
I don't know. It looks like Dylan Kage knows that dirty tactic, and he's gonna go against it right there. Look at that guillotine leg drop, hook in the leg. And Corino still in this matchup.
Only a 2 count there. Dylan Kage is going to have to pull out some more stops if he wants to get that 3 coat.
Ooh, look at that leg sweep right there. A beautiful judo-like leg sweep by Steve Corino. Corino going for the pin attempt. I'm telling you, Corino, you're going to have to hook that leg next time. Add a little bit more leverage to your pin attempt. Or Steven could speed up his count if that's the argument you want to make here, Steve. I know that Slowboy Steven may be a slow counter, but I see your point there, Steve Corino.
But it's consecutively slow, so you kind of know going into your match that you're going to have to hold them for at least what would probably regularly be a 4 count.
Steve Corino going off the ropes, going. And it looks like Dylan Kage trying to go for a crucifix, but able to roll it up. 1, 2. Not enough there, Kage. Not so fast, my friend. Beautiful series of right hands. And Corino with the knee to the sternum right there, folks. If you were having a heart attack, that would have knocked your heart back in place. And look at that, just slamming Kage down on his face.
1, 2, only a 2 count there. Steve Corino, you're gonna have to do just a little bit more work if you want to get the big W here tonight.
Corino not very happy with these calls in the middle of the ring. Like we said, you gotta have to take into account that his name is Slow Boy. His name is not Stephen Quick Boy. It is Stephen Slow Boy. And what are you doing, Corino? Why do you have to do the Native American rain dance? That is not very PC. We pride ourselves in being PC on Midnight Mayhem. And it looks like Kage not having any of that. Going for a leg sweep. No, taking him over, slamming him on his face. Corino getting hit against the mat. And here's your chance, Dylan Kage, to knock that racist out for the count. Are you kidding me, ref?
That is just push. When push comes to shove, you just got to keep going. Both these men have momentum. They have put it all on the mat for you, but they still have to keep going.
I don't know if that was an actual completed thought, Keith. I think that was just a bunch of sentence fragments put together in the guise of a thought. Look at Corino getting hit in the chest by Kage. Kage using that speed and agility. Hook it. Corino able to kick out at 2. Both men on the ground. Both men fighting their hardest, their damnedest for that No Limits championship. Corino getting back to his feet. Kage up first. Kage going for a swing and a miss. Corino trying to go for a swing and a miss. Went for a swing and missed. And it looks like Corino hooking the legs, holding the ropes, but Steven's still counting, not seeing Corino's hands on the rope.
I don't know. Well, the title got changed over. Steve Corino, our new title champion here. But Dylan Kage not telling the ref he was wrong, that he was holding the ropes.
Folks, this has been a phenomenal 1-hour episode of Midnight Mayhem. Episode 100, Steve Corino victorious in this matchup. Your brand new C4W No Limits champion. And look at Corino just gloating in the fact that that man, Stephen Slowboy, did not see his hands on the rope. Now, I'm not sure if anybody else at home saw it like we did, but it looks like Corino stole one tonight.
We're definitely going to have to TiVo that moment, but the title is in Steve Corino's hands, so that's the way it turned up tonight on Midnight Mayhem.
Folks, thank you for watching episode 100. Maybe next time we will see more of C4W. Thank you for watching.
The training of these poor creatures to turn themselves into fighting machines is simply barbaric. 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 Let that word resound.
We lay it on the line every single time we're in the ring. Like, that's the last time we're gonna wrestle.
We're all out there giving up our bodies to entertain you guys. It's worth it. This stuff's awesome, so check it out.
Cherish these experiences because you're going to get something out of it that you never quite expected.